Welcome, everybody, to this edition of Strong Perspective Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Keith Armstrong, along with other hosts, Damon and Ja'Cory Armstrong. Um, I apologize if you are an avid follower of our podcast. I apologize for coming on late. Um, I think I had some technical difficulties trying to get my laptop straight. I didn't want to get on the phone because all my information was on my laptop on how I want things set up. But I'm here now. Uh, listen, as I try to get in touch with my other hosts, because they were like, "Hey, what are we gonna do, man? What's going on? What you going through, man? You all right? you know what I mean? Uh, because my thing is, what I try to do is I try to stay consistent. Um, that's the only thing we can do. You know what I mean? Try to stay consistent until you become um, until you become superior. I don't know, until you do something legendary. But I'm here. It's enough with the apologies because stuff happens sometimes. Uh, as I wait to let my brothers in, let me give us some. Let's do some house cleaning. Uh, this is Strong Perspective Podcast. We've been on this podcast for doing this podcast journey for the last 2 years or so. 2 years and some change, I believe, something like that, or a little bit less than two. But we've been going strong, and I can honestly say that it's been a great journey. More than anything, I think it's been worthwhile. It's been therapeutic in a lot of sense, you know, because getting things off my chest. My brother's getting things off their chest, and it's coming from an honest place. You know what I mean? And that's what's I think that's what's important more than anything. I think that is more important to because in this journey, what we always see is you know because this platform is now been monetized, and we see other success stories. Everybody want to hop on board of those things, to try to see if they can capitalize on it and get the things that they need from it. Sometimes different podcasts are used to get some of your negative energy out of you, you're being used. Hosts are being used as avatars because sometimes they kind of close to how you feel about the world, or some political aspiration, or just socially, you know, socially, where you're like, oh man, you know, I don't like being around people, and my neighbors get on my nerves for no some odd reason. Neighbors get on your nerves, and then you find somebody on here, the podcast called "Do You Like Your Neighbors?" podcast, and grievances and greeting, or if you're social, somebody have a podcast where he goes to different clubs every Friday, and get the atmosphere and try different drinks or doing different things. Basically, what I'm saying to you is it's a lot of different a lot of different topics and tastes on these platforms where you don't really have to try hard and find something that makes you curious and something that'll hold you hold you captive. Because I tell you, the funny thing about it is everyone, excuse me, I'm a little scraggly. Everyone always used to tell me, "Hey man, you guys, y'all on too long. You guys are on too long. What's going on, man? You know, you know, an hour is too long because we did about an hour, and then when we went live, we was going, we average about an hour and a half, hour 45 minutes, something like that, and people who and it's good advice, they're concerned. People were like, hey, you might want to cut it down a little bit because people's attention span is this and that, and I was always like, hey, not trying to offend somebody who I felt was genuine. Like, well, you know what, man? To be honest with you, we're on there having conversation. Now, yeah, I'm like everybody else. If I'm watching something and I want to get to the point because of the headline, and in the beginning, you got to go through the little things and chopping through it and being patient, and then, well, damn, I can scroll ahead to this, and especially when they got the markers in it, you'll do it, and that's the whole point. I get it, I understand that, but sometimes our conversations are about something that people actually have conversations about what is going on in their lives, how they handle things. We're not telling you what you should do. We're letting you know what we do. Because, see, that's how you learn when it comes to socialization. That's how I think we learn as human beings. We get together and we listen to other people. Peer pressure, and also parents teaching us, uncles, aunts, grandmothers, grandfathers, cousins, friends teaching us how to be around each other. And what's so funny about it is, um, we think we it's like an open thing where we think we learn these things on our own and we teach ourselves this on our own, but really and truly, what we really do is we learn from our environment. We learn by listening, especially the things that we're interested in. And I think a lot of times, you know, man, what's so crazy about it is we're so stubborn. This is my opinion now. It's not, this is no proven fact. I ain't got no charts or anything for you with that. We're so stubborn is we make ourselves believe this is what we learn. If it's not coming from that one person that we actually look up to, negative or positive, that one person, one or two people we listen to, we discovered this on our own, but really and truly we learning by looking, listening, and experiencing, right? So when we come together, me and my brothers Damon and Jaquari, and whatever wonderful guests that we have, when we come together, it's really and truly giving you a version of our lives, the way we see things right now. The way we see things right now, like today. I'm not sure, how because I like to be on time, at least as close to be on time and consistent as possible. But stuff got in the way and I was late. That bothers me. Not because I want the world to look at me a certain way or, this, that, and another. No, I think that a lot of times there's only a few things that we can control as individuals. There's only a few things. One of the things that we can control is attempting to be consistent. I really believe that. Attempting to be consistent. Attempting to present yourself as the best version of you. Attempting. See, that's the key for me. I can't, even though I might be self-conscious, right? If I don't succeed at a certain thing, I won't be so upset because I am attempting to get it done instead of just sitting there and say, woe is me, life is kind of messed up. You know what I'm saying? Life is messed up and this is what's going on. Life is a wonderful thing for the living majority of us. Some people get excuse my bluntness, but some people get the shitty end of life, man. And I'll be honest with you, I get sad by that. When I get the dookie end of the stick that's cleaning the shoe, or I see other people get that end of the stick. Deep down, if I'm honest with myself, I get sad behind it because people try to convince you that somebody got to go through it. Somebody got to do this. Somebody has to be the example. God has a reason why you go through these things and all these different things that goes on. And I've always been the type of person that everybody deserves kindness, happiness, gifts from God, riches. Everybody deserves it. Now, realistically, because things are stacked against my opinion, people can argue with it. No, well, okay, then why do bad things happen to people? Why there's only winners? I mean, why is there's only few winners in our eyes? There's only a few winners, and the majority of us are losers. I mean, I can't explain that. I can't, hey, man, I think there's a good thing with God's trying to teach you something, trying to prepare you for something. This is why these things are happening, right? He's trying to prepare you and get you ready for the next thing. I think that's true in a lot of ways, but sad because everything we go through we learn, the good and the bad. We learn from it, and hopefully we become better people from it. Right? Yeah, hopefully we do. There's no doubt about it. So it's like, okay, learning and becoming better because of the situation just is what stepped from. Second chances are really and truly some of the most valuable experiences for us, I think. Because you get a second chance at something. No matter how small, how large, you get a second chance. That means that if it's something that you want, you get an opportunity to achieve it. So I think that's good if you learn from it, you know. But sometimes it don't work like that. Sometimes I think I went through this around the time when I was in my late 20s, where, you're in your late 20s, about to turn 30, and you want things. You want things out from your life. And you look around and your friends, your families, your peers, and it seems like they are getting what you wanted. I'll give you a small example. I always felt when it came to small things, sports, went to school for basketball, right? Went to school for basketball because I loved it. It was not, I didn't see it as a business when I went to school. I saw just like everybody else's dream, in the early 80s, late 80s that played basketball. I saw, well, man, my dream is to become a professional basketball player, play in the NBA, right? Play in the NBA and just that one part of it, right? And I thought if I had got a chance, the right camp, right situation, got a chance, and all these different things, I thought it was possible. And it didn't work out for whatever reason, whatever journey I went through, because I didn't get drafted. Um, had a couple, I didn't have good advice when it came to basketball. Had a couple situations I could have went to that year. My senior year, it was the USBL. They just opened it up where in the Northeast area they were, they had drafted, a little summer league team kind of thing, sort of along the lines of the CBA, but it was smaller and all this. I because I played in the Big East and was known, I was in that situation, and I got drafted to a little team on Staten Island, but didn't have any agents, didn't know how to do it, and so I was stuck. Didn't know. I was at Pitt, didn't know where to go or how to go, and basketball was my dream. So and it's a big story. I'm not going through all that, but the thing about it is, didn't understand the process, and didn't have anybody who would help me with the process. But I did have someone contact me for the NFL. He was the defensive line coach for the Cincinnati Bengals. He called me one day when I was in my dorm room. It was late spring, right before in my senior year, right before I was graduating, not knowing what I was going to do with my life. He called me out of the blue and said, "Hey, I'm in town. I saw you play against Xavier and saw your build, and because I was 6'9", 250, 6'9", 250, run, about 2% body fat, that type of deal. We was on that kind of time. And I saw how you went up and down the court, and he found out that I had a football background. He said, I'm going to be in town. Can I come through and work you out?" He said, "I know you haven't played football in college." He said, "You really need it, but the thing about it is that we have a history of taking chances on basketball players, defensive end." So he came in and he put me through 40 shuttle drill, different things like that. Even though in my mind, I'm like, well, I'm going to show up for this stuff. But I wasn't sure what's going on or how it was happening. And the whole process was, I ended up in the Cincinnati Bengals camp, still not understanding what position I was in, still wanting to be a basketball player. But my athletic ability shone through, right? But not understanding where I was. This is a place that I looked up to. this, the NFL and the NBA looked up to these guys and saw them. Then I was amongst them and saw I was bigger than these guys, and just was in awe but nervous at the same time. And my skill level at the defensive end position was next to zero because I had no college no college football experience. So I was like, oh man, how am I going to go through it? And they were being honest with me. Hey, we know you haven't done. I'm talking about the owner, Paul Brown, when he was, God rest his soul, and his son who was running things then. What's his name? Weiss. He came to me. We know where you're coming from. We know your background. As a matter of fact, a lot of us watched your games in the Big East. This, that, and the other. And I'm getting comfortable. And I'm saying to myself, if I just get a little chance, maybe. But then the number of games caught up. And eventually I was called into his office and said they would love to keep me, but, they needed somebody, they needed another body for the position. So, and at that time, all teams didn't have practice squads. The only teams that I knew that had a practice squad was the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Cleveland Browns. That was it. But like I said, the agent I had at the time, good guy, but he wasn't really familiar with things either. You know what I mean? So I was like his experiment because I was one of the first people to sign with him. But he was a football guy, but I wanted to play basketball. So basically why I'm running down this thing to you is to let you know that learning from that experience, what it did for me was it took me down to a sports depression, right? But also it taught me that no matter what I did from that point on, I had to take things seriously. I had to see my life. I had to be more serious about my life. So I went back to school. I had 2 classes left. Went back to school and was able to retain my scholarship because Pitt, they were good people, and they did that for me. And finished up, got my degree in administration of justice, and got a job. And from that point on, all I did was put my head down and grinded for that job. But I never, to be honest with you, I never truly saw what Scars was created from not at least getting the opportunity to live out my dream. Because on the outside, you saw me as being regular, going to work, being to work on time, doing the thing, grinding, this, that, and the other, and being there for people the best way I knew how. But on the inside, I was being torn up. I wish I had someone to talk to, because what I think could have happened for me would have been my transition and then being able to look at everything, not just work, but just everything, to be able to walk through life and be the best version of me, making decisions and doing all these things, and you had not addressed what was going on with you. Now, that's a small thing in my life. The larger things in my life, it was my goal, because I was taught by my parents what people felt our place was in this world when I was growing up in this country, where you had to be 3 times better than the people that you was working with. This one, when it came to regular job, not the entertainment job. I'm talking about regular jobs, going to work every day. You had to be twice as good, 3 times as good to get just as much. Because familiarity breeds familiarity. Meaning, if I was working for a boss, and now this is not always the case, but it occurs a lot more than people really want to acknowledge. If I'm working for a boss that's a black man, right, and he needs people around him that looks like him, he is going to give them the best chance to stick around. He's going to give them, when he hires someone, he's going to hire someone that he was familiar with. You know what I'm saying? And he has more in common, and the work ethic that he has, right? You see, now the example I just gave you, flip it. I was taught that always happened from the other side. Because how many black managers did I run into in my time? You know what I mean? Because of the country that we lived in, it was more white managers, men and women, right? Now, I ran into some black managers, so I'm not going to say I never did and all this, but the majority of times what we ran into is white. Now, depending on the person's character, depending on their character is how well your job experience is. So like any other human being, black or white, if your character is not a good character and you don't know how to treat people, it's going to show. You're going to be you're going to put yourself and put people in position to be your treatment of people is going to shine through. You know what I mean? You don't have, sometimes people try to hide who they really are, but their actions should really show who they are. You know what I mean? Now, going around screaming, he's racist, he's this, he's that. I think it comes into play, but I think a lot of people don't think it has nothing to do with race, but our skin color makes it easier to take you out of consideration. Not to get too confusing, but it makes it easier. You see how I'm trying to walk that thin line, trying to walk that line, not to sound so bad. No, I don't want to get on this platform and be like, the white man this, the white man that, right? Because I believe that if you really want to, as a black person, this is what I believe now, as a black person, if you really want to, you'll find a way. That's not going to stop you, right? You'll find a way. Am I saying that it is not happening? No, I'm not saying that. I believe that, this blatant regard and disregard of your color, it happens all the time throughout history in this country, mostly because that's what we're fed off of. But my thing is, I don't accept it. And why don't and I take some responsibility for it. You know why? Because if I'm a talented man and I feel that my color has gotten in the way of me expressing my talent, I'm going to double down. I'm going to be the best version of me, and I'm going to bring other people into my fold as we try to overcome this by unity, by linking up, by trusting, by putting things in place where nobody is going to be taken advantage of, by feeding life into our situation or on us trying to become a certain thing. You see, I think that when I say these things to folks, the first thing that does to me, and I've had conversation with them, an alarm goes off. An alarm goes off. Oh my goodness, he's trying to give these folks a pass. No, I'm not trying to give you a pass. I'm not doing that. I'm saying to you is, yeah, that's there. Yeah, that thing is in our way, right? It's in your way. But I also am optimistic enough to know that I could find another path other than this one. I'm optimistic enough to know that I can find another path. You will not beat me. And I'm speaking genuinely when I say that. If I want something that I really care about, you will not beat me. You will not defeat me. You will not stop me unless I want to be stopped. And you say, well, what do you mean? How do you want to be stopped? I don't mean it in that way. I'm saying to you is, if you keep not getting knocked down and you get up and something happens and you stumble and you fall again and you get up, when you don't get up anymore, for whatever reason, maybe you're not capable, or maybe mentally you need to rest or something. When you don't get up, that's when, in my opinion, you let things defeat you. You see what I'm saying? We take things too literally, because I think, well, man, get up, because I wouldn't say, why you give up? What's going on? What's going on? And it depends on the individual. Some people won't give up. Some people are dedicated enough and strong enough to keep trying and falling and standing up again and falling, standing up again, because that's what's in their character. That's what they're about. Is they believe that one day they will succeed. So they will get up. They will get up, and they'll continue to try. Right? But some people won't do that. Either they'll find another direction to go as far as something else to do, or they find a way to overcome it and become better than that moment that they kept hitting the roadblock with. They become better than that moment and transcend it. I've seen that happen. I've seen it happen. But then the world's view is there's winners and losers. Right? And there's different degrees of losses And there's different degrees of winning. But the way we see it in the world is you are a loser if you don't get what you want. So you should feel bad about yourself. You should think harmful things about who you are because you did not succeed at a certain thing. And when the world says that's what you should do, and not understanding that sometimes that's just how things are. Like our favorite things, bringing sports up again, our favorite thing, hell, entertainment is based off of winning and losing. If at its most generic version, that's what it is. Excuse me. But that's what everybody does, though. Everybody deals with it on a generic level. My team is a loser. Such and such this boxer can't win the big one, but he'll win everything up until he gets a chance with the big one and something happens. But he's a loser because he didn't get to his ultimate goal. I've always felt like in my heart, really and truly navigating the journey is the goal. But getting to the end, like a video game, the final boss, right? And you keep losing to the final boss, for some reason, it makes people think you're a loser because you can't beat the final boss. And they forget about the winning and the learning and all the different things that you went through to get to the final boss. In which you should, along the way, you should be setting yourself up for a soft landing if you don't beat the final boss. See, that's what the thing that we kind of ignore because we get obsessed with that final stage. Really, in my heart, the final stage is the cherry on the top of that ice cream sundae. But honestly, the good shit is what you build until then. You know what I mean? So being disappointed and sad that you couldn't get past the final boss, okay, I understand that. But is your life over? Because that's what it feels like we get inundated with. If your life is over because you could not get past the final boss. I don't know if that's design. I don't know what's what with that, but that's how it seems like our lives are set up. Just for that final stage. And we kind of ignore everything in between there, from the beginning to then. We ignore all that stuff in between. And that is to me, that is the biggest mistake we can ever do, is ignore what you're doing in the moment. Because sometimes, and I've met people like this, and I've been like this sometimes, I forget about the final stage because the living that I'm experiencing right there that's bringing the happiness. Now, this is not always the case because, there's certain things where you need the final boss to make sure that the people who follow you, your family, your friends, that they have an easier path to get there. So that, that's taken in consideration to what I'm saying right now. But sometimes you're only meant to go so far, I believe. Sometimes you're meant to go so far. Doesn't mean that you need to stop and say, hey, yeah, I gotten this point. Or no, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't shoot for the stars, but shoot for the heavens. There you go. Shoot for the heavens. And if you don't make it, you'll land amongst the stars. That's kind of what I'm speaking on. It's the simple fact that our trajectory should be shooting for the heavens. This is where we should be pointed towards, right? But if you find yourself in the stars, then you're more comfortable there. And your attempt for the heavens, one or two times for the heavens, didn't quite make it. Sometimes it's good to reevaluate yourself and be right there and say, hey, look around you. Prepare that path for others to follow you. Family, I'm speaking on family, friends, to follow you so they can experience the stars or they can experience heaven. You know, I think, I hope I haven't gotten too, metaphorical. You know what I'm saying? Not get caught up on, well, if the cat is not the cat, then when the cat trying to be the cat and you on that cat food, then that's when the dog come in. I'm sorry if I sounded like that, but really and truly, what I'm speaking upon is not giving up, but appreciating the journey along the way. You know what I mean? I think my goal has been like everybody else's. I just don't. I think it's like anybody else, but I just don't. I want to be happy with myself. I want to love myself, man. And I don't think we truly understand what it is to love yourself. You know, because one of my versions of loving myself is adding that one piece on there to be selfish and deny other people and say that that's part of loving myself. Saying no is I think is the part of selfishness that you need. Saying no because that's not good for me. You know what I mean? Saying no, you should keep, but taking from other people is not loving yourself. I think it's being greedy. You know, denying other people things because you don't have it. I think if it's not a competition and you're just caught up in life, I think that's not loving yourself. What that is sort of a little bit about what you feel is self-preservation or a little bit of jealousy or just, you know, to me that I don't think that's included in loving yourself when you have to hurt somebody else to put yourself in a better position. I just think that's just being selfish. You know what I mean? Now, am I saying being selfish is a bad thing? No. And what I'm saying to you is it is very difficult to know what it means to love yourself. But we hear that being said all the time. You know what I mean? We say, yeah, man, just love yourself and everything is going to be fine. Yeah, I believe that. But what does it mean to love yourself? I mean, do me a favor. If you get to this point in this episode and you hear this question, what does it mean to love yourself? Or if you're on this live right now, please give me your version of loving yourself. Because I would like to hear it. You know, I go around my friends and I ask them these things. What does it mean to love yourself? What do you mean? When you say, if those words are uttered through your mouth, loving me, what does it mean? Because I'm a guy who thinks that in order to love yourself, right, you have to love yourself or part of yourself to be able to love the people that's in your life. In other words, loving yourself and knowing how to treat yourself good is definitely going to translate to treating others good. To be able to be attentive to others, because it's you're not loving yourself if you become someone because you feel you're in love with them. You become their slave. You do whatever they say. That's with your wives, your husbands, your children. You do whatever they say, just to make them happy, right? That's not loving yourself. No, that's just taking care of what you feel is your responsibility. Well, are you truly loving them? Where you put them in a position where you do everything for them. When they mess up, you help them, but you allow them to make the same mistake again. Are you truly loving them? Or are you just making it easy for them to love you? Are you doing these things because, I think it happens on both sides. You can love yourself and spoil the people in your lives because you want to see them happy, right? But you cannot love yourself and spoil the people in your lives so they could look at you and make you happy, in which is impossible to do. Because, in my opinion, they might be doing it out of, and this is not a definite thing, but they might be doing it out of gratitude. Hence the invention of the sugar daddy and the sugar mamas. You know what I'm saying? Taking care of them youngins, going in your pocket so they can give you a little piece of I ain't gonna say happiness. A little piece of them. A little piece of them. But I'm getting ready to turn 60 years old, right? On my birthday. And one thing, and there's a lot of things I can say that's definite about me. But the one thing I can definitely tell you that I've always been on the journey to do is love who I am. Because when I do that, and it's always, you're always constructing and supporting what's there, and sometimes tearing it down and rebuilding it, because your life's journey is, to me, self-love. Because the people that love you and you're taken care of and you're in their lives and they're in your lives, you will be able to love them the best if you love who you are. Now that sounds so simple, but it's not. It's not. I mean, I really, what's so crazy about it is me sitting here saying it now. Me saying it right now is crazy to say, because that sounds like that is the simplest thing to do. But it's not, because your version of who you love when you look in the mirror, how you love that person is how the world sees you, how your parents raised you, right? I don't think it's fair, But that's how it is. It's how your friends interacted to you, how your girlfriend or your boyfriend treated you when y'all were together. That's your version of that's the person who you're loving is what they see. That's why I say it's difficult to love yourself on your own terms because you have to look at who you are, not who they think you are, but who you are. You personally, it's a personal thing where you have to look at that person and say, hey, man, are you worthy of my love? Not from the outside, from inside. You, the person that's listening to me now, do you feel you're worthy? For you see you every day. You are alone with your own personal thoughts every single day. You see when you make a decision that works and doesn't work and interacts with people every day. You know the real you. You may not know all your motivations, but you know a lot of your motivations on how you move, right? Do you love that person? Are you able to love that person? Because from personal experience, if you're able to love that real, raw person that you see every day, if you're able to do that, I think you're better. You're better at living and treating yourself. You're able to treat yourself better, right? But also you're able to treat the people depending on you better. You're able to open up. You're able to open up your heart. You're able to see what you need to see and without anything being clouded. And you're able to exist. Now, I really believe, just to double down on it, the way we see ourselves is the way that the world treated us as we were growing as individuals. And I see something wrong with that. Even if it's all to the good now, don't get me wrong, even if it's good, the majority of it's good or along those things, if you do not, to me, because you understand this is me. This is not, I didn't go into any scholarly things when I'm talking about things. This is my own personal thing. If you do not see yourself in an honest way, so let me pose this question to you. If you don't see yourself in an honest way, are you truly being good to you? Are you truly walking through life in your best interest? I mean, that's about it, man, when it comes to that, because I'm always going to continue to be on a personal journey. But because I'm always on a personal journey, it's few people I can talk to about this because I've always been a sounding board for other people. Folks has always talked to me about their situations, their problems, their life, their ambitions, everything. They've always done it. And I don't know if it's because my face looks inviting, and what it is, and I've embraced it. But there's few people, And this is no, me being bitter or complaining. There's few people who've ever really been interested in how I feel. There's few people who've ever asked and stayed there and asked, Keith, how do you feel? I believe that's always been my lot in life. To be a soundboard, to be a listener, to have a listening ear. Always. But at the same time, to balance it, to not get caught up in my feelings and be upset and all these things. To me, I've developed a praying. I pray to God every day to show me my path, to help me understand my feelings. And I listen. I listen. So it balances it out. Most people don't understand and don't notice that's what they do when they interact with me. They wait for the opportunity to talk about themselves. Most people don't see that. Now, when I was younger, I saw the usefulness in it, but I also avoided it because the negative connotation to that is you don't give a shit about me because you just only want to talk about you. Hell, you don't even know my middle name, and we've known each other for 15 years. And I've said it to you twice. That's an example, but my point is, I went through the evolution of understanding that sometimes, whether you want it or not, sometimes you're on this earth to do a couple things. You know what I mean? Either you can avoid it, right? Avoid people that you know all they want to do is talk to you about, they want to talk about themselves. But then I started looking at it for what it really was. It's a blessing. It's a blessing for me because I thought, and here's the funny thing, what if they didn't come to me? How would I feel about me? And the folks I'm talking about is my sons, my wife. What if they didn't come to me and they kept these feelings about themselves and about me to themselves? And they would be going through it alone or going to the wrong person. My brothers. What if they kept it and felt alone? When I think of it that way, that's horrible. That's horrible. Because I wouldn't want them to go through that alone, whatever it might be. Especially if all I have to do is open myself up to receive them. So that's when I started seeing it as a blessing. That's when I started to see that it was a gift that was given to me that I still don't quite understand yet, but I'm the better person for it. Because I'm fulfilling my duty as a child of God. Now, when I'm speaking to you about this, I don't go out and be a what do you call them? Not crusader, but um, I don't go out into the world looking for someone to give me their stuff. It always happens naturally, and I'm fine with that. Do I pat myself on the back and all that? No, because it's a gift that was given to me, so I really don't have to work at it. All I have to do is just sit still. And the one other gift that God gave me was to be able to decipher it, to understand what should be said and not be said. Because I made that mistake in the past where I was feeling full of myself because somebody was opening up to me. And then I said, I became big headed and said something that I shouldn't have said. And then had to make up for it, double down, make amends or repair the damage that I did because I felt I was feeling full of myself, thinking that I knew why I was receiving these things from these folks, and I didn't. I had no idea because I had to just to be there for the moment. And then when the gift of deciphering it and understanding it, I could give at the end of the conversation. I can give a earnest and honest opinion. And the majority of the time, not that it was right, but it helped them. I've had so many conversations throughout my life, man, with so many people that I've not forgotten, but had to be reminded of because there's so much that I've taken in as a person. And I'm sharing this with you because I'm giving you a part of my life. I'm 59, about to turn 60. I'm giving you a part of my life. It's a small part, but it's a very, very important part. Being there for people who need you. That has always been important to me. Do I want other people to understand just how much they should appreciate me? That's a foolish path to walk down, in which I have. And I felt really, really dumb for even thinking about it. Because it's really and truly, it's a gift that's given to you. It's nothing that I had to work at. I mean, well, that's about it, really. But this is the second time I've been on here solo. And this has always been my aspiration of being one of these kind of people, right? But not a self-help guru, but really promoting conversation, promoting. Uh, I don't believe in oversharing. You know what I mean? You don't need to know what makes me emotional, but I believe in the art of conversation. Open it up, being able to relax, I hope this last hour and 5 minutes that I've been on here, you understand what my, uh, I understand a little bit more what my goal is. I hope you understand a little bit more of what my goal is as I continue along with my brothers, Damon and Jaquari, on the road of Strong Perspective Podcast. Need you guys to do me a favor, like, share, and subscribe. Go to the YouTube channel, build our numbers up. I mean, I don't know. That's another thing when it comes to being a YouTuber. Some people hop on there instantly, their numbers explode. And I think it has a lot to do with your personality. You know what I mean? What's up, Eric? That's so, all right, man. That's so stuff I don't know. I'm assuming that's some stuff that I don't know. What is it that you don't know, brother? Let me know. Um, yeah, I lost my train of thought. But just understand. I was getting ready to complain about the YouTube thing. People explode, go viral. I mean, I understand the viral thing. People either said something that was spot on, like, damn, that is so uplifting, or whatever's going on. Oh, yeah, the football thing. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've been on a journey now. My life is I can honestly say, my life has been filled, and that's another reason why I'm kind of the way I am, laid back and chilling, because I've done a lot in my lifetime. And I want other people to be able to do the same thing, to be able to talk about it. I want my sons' lives to be full. You know what I'm saying? I want their lives to be full and adventurous and meeting other people and just doing different things. But yeah, I understand the viral thing. I understand, blowing up, whatever. But like I said, me and my brothers have been doing this for 2 years, and we gotten great responses by the people who've watched us. But our channel has not grown. Well, you need to do this. Hey, take this class and all. Okay. You know what I'm saying? It's that's what's so funny about it. It's like, you know what? Yeah, the classes would be cool, and putting yourself, catching that whatever algorithm and all these different things. You know, honestly, I had to figure out why I was doing it, because if I was doing it for, like, for the reason that everybody else has, I would have stopped a long time ago, because it's that winning and losing thing. 2.5 years, we have 181 followers on our channel. Subscribers, I'm sorry, not followers, subscribers. 181. Now, I can honestly tell you, along with the 3 hosts and our many guests, we have said in giving you some of the most dynamic and wonderful things our community has offered. Like, really and truly, people's lives, their backgrounds, and they was able to be comfortable enough to open up and to share with you, and share with us, and share with you what was going on. Man, it's a treasure. But we have 181 subscribers. Well, we don't get to see. Okay, I get it. Now, am I blaming you guys for that? No, far from it. No, I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying the ride. I love it. But the one thing I do wish, when we're going live, I wish folks would pop in and say hello. If you have a question or a statement, put it on the screen. If there's anything that I would ask other than this thing just exploding so I can pay my guests and pay us, that's the ultimate goal. But other than that, it's part interaction. Like Eric, good friend Eric Harris, he's a friend of the show. He's interacting. I love that. I love that. But you make sure when you vote in November, you make sure why you're voting. Okay? And who you're voting for. I can tell you that I won't be voting for Trump because I've always said that, ever since he became president, that he has become an avatar for hate. People who are hateful towards other people through whatever frustration in their lives or fear or whatever they have, people who are hateful support him because he says hateful stuff. He's always said it. Some folks like, well, Trump is, entertainers, especially entertainers. Yeah, Donald Trump, black entertainers, because that's where he made a lot of his money from, being a casino owner and shit. That's where he made a lot of his money from. Trump has always treated me well and all this because you had something that he needed. But think about what he says to hurt the rest of the place, the rest of the country. Am I saying that Kamala, who I think is going to be our next president, do I think that she's the better choice? Politicians is politicians, man. It is horrible what has always been, but also what we are privileged to see right now. It is a ball of falsehood, lies, and everything. Our country and this is just as much my country as anyone else. But politics is crazy, man. Even when you have the truth, politicians will spin it whatever way and say it so much and put it in the mouths of people that we trust and make it into a truth. Because their party wants to be in charge. I just told you why I'm going to vote for Kamala Harris. I just told you why I'm going to vote for her. Because really and truly, you understand, just being a black man, we are able to recognize hate. Did I get that? Our community is able to recognize hate at its base Now, should you believe me and whatever? Look, believe me or not, but I know hate when I see it. I know the energy. I feel the energy of hate when I feel it. So that's what I'm saying. Nothing more, nothing less. So don't, you know, I can talk politics with you, but then when it gets caught up into the other things other than what suits me as a person, then you lost me, because it's not ran off of common sense. But guess what? It's running our country, though. Isn't that the sad thing? That's just me. But look, as I said, go to our YouTube channel, like, share, and subscribe, and give us some traction to be able to, for people like yourself, to see our version of a conversation, our version of humor, our version of how we see life and the world. And it might help you. It might help you to be able to navigate what's going on in your life right now. I really, truly believe that. Because I said earlier in the podcast, our children learn by looking at us. So when we become grown, we learn by looking at other people and understanding what they're going through. And sometimes we're able to mend our lives because of what other people is going through. All right, well, look, I'm going to release you back into captivity, and we'll be here again next Friday at 7:30, because all the kinks have been worked out. And you folks, enjoy your weekend. You make sure you tell your loved ones, look them in their eyes, you tell them that you love them. And hug them. You don't need a reason to do that. Just do it. Then you look in that mirror at your true self and tell yourself that you love you. See what happens. All right, this is Keith Armstrong. I'm standing in representing Damon and Ja'Cory Armstrong. And this is Strong Perspective Podcast. Make sure you tune in with us next week, 7:30 at Friday. Make sure you go to our YouTube channel, like, share, and subscribe. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.